Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. The record reflects the presence of the jury panel, the defendant, and counsel. Okay, we are ready for redirect, so come on back up. Mr. Martinez, you may proceed.
Sir, one of the things that you indicated during cross-examination was that you actually didn't see Officer Hawley throughout the shooting. Do you remember talking about that?
Yeah. I didn't see him, but I knew where he wasn't.
Well, let me ask you this way. Do you know whether or not there's a bathroom on this floor?
Yes.
Can you see it?
No.
So, with regard to Officer Hawley, while you were shooting, did you ever see him?
No.
But did you know where he was in terms of whether or not was he in any of the areas that you ever shot?
No, he was not. He wasn't. Not only was he not in my line of fire, he wasn't anywhere in the picture because I actually ran 40, 50 feet to the south, and he's nowhere even in the picture.
And did it take some time to run, or is it a situation that you ran so fast that it was within an absolute second that when you got to that area you started to shoot, or did it take some time until you started to shoot?
It took some.
Leading, multiple questions.
Sustained.
Did it take some time from the time that you started running until you got there? Did it take some time?
Yes.
How much time? Can you estimate?
Yes.
How much?
A few seconds.
So one of the things that you were also asked about was whether or not, when you dragged him and the path that you may have taken, do you remember that?
Yes.
I'm going to show you some photographs. These are exhibits numbers 8, 11, 12, 13, 15, 18, 17, 29, and 32. Please take a look at them. Do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
Are they a true and accurate depiction of the scene as it existed back on February 19th of 2007?
Yes.
And specifically, do they depict the blood path showing or indicating where the blood was and where you dragged Officer Anthony home?
Yes.
I move for the admission of Exhibit 8, 11, 12, 13, 15, 17, 18, 29, and 32.
Okay. Any objection? I think 8 and 11 are already in.
Yeah, okay, then not drop.
And 15's in just in another form. I admitted that's the same photo, but
8, 11, and 15 are already in. So we're talking about 12, 13, 17, 18, 29, and 32. We don't have 15 as in.
So I entered the same photograph, but as a different number. I'm
Got
sorry.
it. Okay, so 15's not in, 8 and 11 are in.
My only objection is to 29.
Okay, the basis for 29?
Cumulative and prejudicial.
Okay. Mr. Martinez, would you approach with 29 so I can make sure I know what we're looking at? When you say prejudicial, is it for the reasons previously set forth?
Yeah.
Okay. The objection's overruled. Exhibits 12, 13, 15, 17, 18, 29, and 32 are admitted.
While they're doing that, let's take a look at exhibit number 8. Let's not waste any time. What is this right here?
That's Officer Hawley's blood.
For the record, Your Honor, can we be a little more specific as to what we're pointing to?
Okay, point to it again, please. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
And number 11. And with regard to these specifically, do you see any disturbance there?
Yes.
Well, in terms of the flow, do you see any foot marks, any tread marks, any disturbance in the blood?
No.
Did you step in any of this blood that's behind the Kia?
No.
And up to here, to the very end, did you see any disturbance there?
No.
Take a look at exhibit number 12. See this right here?
Yes.
Would you characterize that as a disturbance or not?
Yes.
And who caused that disturbance in that blood?
I did.
How did you do that?
When I dragged Tony.
And you see this right here? You see that white there? Just pointing it out for purposes of pointing it out. Do you see that?
Yes.
If we go back to exhibit number 11, you see that white also there? I'm sorry. You see that right there?
Hey, Margaret,
Yes.
this is Conway. Is Warren here? I've got a video alert. Yes.
And
Officer Hawley's blood.
There seems to be right here sort of like,
I've
for
stopped
lack of a
shooting.
better term,
Does that
slow.
know if
You
I'm
see
supposed
that
to shoot him or not?
on exhibit 11?
Objection calls for speculation.
Deceased?
Overruled.
You see that?
I'm sorry, did you see a slope?
Yes.
Well, do you see that right there?
Yes.
And if we take a look at exhibit number 12,
I'm not shooting him
see
anymore.
that there? Bring it in.
Yes.
Short shot.
Do they appear to correspond?
Yes.
Video alert. They're showing pictures of, can you hear me? Of Hawley's blood on the asphalt behind the Kia.
And now let's take a
Not
look
now,
at exhibit
but I did get a
15.
little bit of it about 4 minutes ago.
What are we looking at here?
That is the
No, no.
trail of blood from when I
It's a wide
pulled
shot
Tony.
of the car from the side, and you see a
This
thin
way?
stream of blood at the back end of the car. They're pointing it out.
What is this right here?
That's Tony's vest.
Exhibit number 13. How would you describe this right here?
That's the trail of blood from when I pulled Tony.
Would you describe it as an arc?
Yes,
And this right here is what?
that's Tony's vest.
Exhibit number 17 shows us some yellow items there. These are placards. Did you have anything to do with that?
No,
But we do see this right here, this black item here. What is that?
that's Tony's vest.
In exhibit number 18, do we see the vest there?
Yes,
Do we see the arc?
yes,
Then we see this area here. What is that?
the gutter.
Did you drag him all the way out?
Yes,
Where did you have his head?
Closest to me.
And would his head have been on the sidewalk?
Yes,
Exhibit number 32. What is this right here?
that's the taillight for the Kia on the driver's side.
Okay.
On the driver's side.
And
That's Tony's blood.
is this a, would you characterize this as a disturbance?
Yes,
Caused that disturbance?
I did when I dragged Tony to be with me.
The arc that we're talking about, is that this right here?
Yes,
And exhibit 29. See this right here?
yes,
You make those drag marks?
yes,
And is that where they ended?
yes,
So you were asked a number of questions, exhibit 32, about where you were when you came in this direction immediately before you dragged the body. Is that something that you were consciously thinking about as this situation is unfolding, or were you thinking of something else?
No, I was busy thinking about the guy who was shooting at us and dealing with him.
But did you go to this area, generally speaking?
Yes.
And did you shoot from that area?
In the general area, yes.
And as you sit here, can you tell us how many times you shot?
No,
You were also asked about the casings and whether or not they may or may not indicate to you where you were standing. Do you remember that line of questioning?
yes,
And do you remember talking about, well, which way does your handgun eject?
yes,
Yes. Which direction does it generally eject?
generally to the right.
In this particular case, didn't you also tell us that there were some police cars that actually drove into this particular area? Didn't you tell us that?
Yes,
How close did the police cars get, tip number 17, to this general area?
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt, I just don't know what you mean by this general area.
Well, you can ask the question. If the witness doesn't know, he can ask for a clarification. If it's unclear, it's unclear at his own risk.
the car that we used to attempt to rescue Officer Hawley was right up into
Okay.
this area, somewhere in here.
We'll just put an X. Let me do this. Let me get clear. Come on, let me clear it out and just put an X generally.
Just in this general area, right up into this general area, we needed to get the car as close to Tony as possible.
Well, you also indicated that there may have been other cars there.
Yes,
How many other cars do you remember being there?
at least two more.
And where were they? Were they in this general vicinity or were they somewhere else?
They were in the general area, but they were a little bit farther south.
Put a small 0 where you saw the two other cars.
Over in this area.
Now let's try it and see if it works. Worse. As they're coming in, and when you indicated previously that you were shooting initially after we turned around, can you show us generally in this area where you were standing? If it shows it or not?
I just generally, it's in this area by the car. I just don't know exactly where,
Why don't
so.
you draw a large circle as opposed to a small circle? Okay? Is that the first or the second time you shot?
Second time.
The first time that you shot, where would you be?
Oh, all the way, I don't even know if I'd be on this, I may be off the
Let me,
picture.
hold on.
Your Honor, unless we publish these photographs, the record's never going to be clear as to what the witness is talking about. So I think that each time that we make one of these circles, we're going to need to publish these.
Doesn't have to. You can do it for demonstrative purposes, just like pointing to something at trial. The record is what it is, and so he can do it this way. Go ahead.
So with regard to the first time that you were shooting, show us generally.
All the way over in this area over here.
And that general area is a road, isn't it?
Yes.
The officer's vehicles that you indicated came, at least one of them, in this direction. Would it necessarily have gone through there? This general entry area?
Yes.
And if they're driving through that particular area, given whatever experience you may have, do you think that that is good general practice for the police to say, aha, there may be some casings there, and so I'm going to make sure that I don't run over them? Is that how the thinking is with the police department?
Objection, speculation, form of the question, and we haven't even identified what exhibit we're looking at.
Overruled, he can answer the question.
No, if one of them would have done that and not gotten in to help, I need them to come in to help me, and they're going to get in to help me, and so they're not going to do that.
If they came in through there, and you saw them come in, right? The police, the vehicles come in?
Yes.
Did they come through the general area where you were fighting?
Yes.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not those vehicles ran over your casings?
Objection, foundation.
Sustained.
Well, you saw them come in, right?
Yes.
You know where you were standing when you were firing, right?
Yes.
Did they come through the general area where you were firing or not?
Yes.
You indicated that you did say something to the defendant when you assisted in the arrest. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He was just, in general, saying that complaining that his leg was in pain.
And when you say he's complaining in general, do you remember the words or not?
Just,
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
he was saying, ow, ow, my leg, my leg, my leg.
And what did you say?
I said, you're going to shoot at the police, and then you're going to complain about your leg.
But when this situation is unfolding, after the gun comes out, what do you do? You were asked about it, but what did you do? You see the gun, what do you do?
I ran for cover.
Tell me where you went.
I ran along the passenger side of the Kia, around the back of the Kia. I ran southbound, south of the police vehicles into the street.
As you're running in and you come to that area, I'm going to stop you there. Have you taken any shots at all?
No,
Could you see Officer Anthony Holly at that point?
no.
When was the last time you saw him?
Facing the defendant in his contact cover position, just adjacent to the passenger side of the Kia.
Then, you're standing there. At some point, did you turn around?
Yes.
After you turn around, where's the first place that you look?
I looked back where I last saw, where we were, the three of us, with the defendant with the gun and Officer Hawley and me.
So that I will, to be clear, if we look at exhibit number 17, where did you look back at? And I don't need you to mark it, but just tell me where you look back towards.
I'm looking back over in this area right here.
And as you're looking back towards that area, Have you already started firing?
No,
What do you see in that area when you look at that area?
I don't see anybody.
So you don't see anybody standing, is what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yes,
You see anybody, did you look towards the ground?
no,
Why didn't you look towards the ground?
because I'm looking for the threats. So I'm looking for heads above cars. I'm looking for somebody standing up with a gun who is just shooting at us.
At that time, had you already heard a shot come from that general direction?
Yes.
So then where do you look?
Then I look into the grassy area because I see the defendant running with the gun.
And you see the individual, the defendant, then, right?
Yes.
At any time, do you see Officer Anthony Hawley running step by step with him, or behind him, in front of him, at any point?
Absolutely not.
As you're looking at the defendant, is he a threat? Do you believe that he's a threat to you?
Yes, absolutely.
At that time, do you then decide, I'm going to take my eyes off the defendant and look to the left to see if somebody's down on the ground?
No.
Objection leading.
Sustained, rephrase it.
Where do you look as the defendant, if you see him running?
I'm looking at the defendant
Why not look anywhere else?
because he's got a gun. I don't have time to stop and look around. He's got a gun. He's already shot at us, and I need to deal with that situation right now.
So then, what do you do?
I start to lead him slightly in front of him, and I start shooting at him as he's running in the
And
grass.
is he running from a southeasterly direction towards a northwesterly direction? Is that where he's running?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
No, he's running he's running in a southeasterly direction through the grass.
So that we're clear, is he running towards the Kia or away from the Kia? Which of the two?
He's running away from the Kia.
And at that point, do you believe, in your judgment, that you need to look back at the Kia to see what's going on back there?
No,
Why not? You still have Patsy Jones there. Why aren't you looking over there?
because he's the one that has the gun.
Did you ever see Patsy Jones with a gun?
No,
Did you ever perceive her as a threat as you're looking at him running, as you said, in the southeasterly direction?
no, because I wasn't even thinking about her. I was thinking about the guy with the gun.
So you shoot, right?
Yes.
Remember how many shots you fired?
No.
Then, what do you see?
I see that I see him clutch towards his leg, and I see him go down to the ground, still with the gun in his hand.
So at least with regard to one round, do you believe that you have or have not hit him?
I believe that I've hit him.
At that time that you have hit him, which direction are you looking?
I am looking eastbound.
Are you looking at any time while you're watching this, do you divert your eyes from the situation at all?
I'm keeping my eyes on the guy with the big gun.
And then what happens?
He got to his knees, and he squared up with the gun, and he was shooting at me.
And at that time, when the gun is extended in that position, are you looking anywhere else other than that at that person?
No.
Anywhere near there, did you ever see Officer Anthony Hawley next to this individual, the defendant, holding the gun in that direction? Did you ever see him anywhere near there?
Nowhere in this area.
And then what happens?
I started shooting at him. We were continued. We were exchanging gunshots until I realized that I'm on the bad side of this. I'm in a bad position, and I realized that I need to move myself to put myself in a better situation.
And where do you go to put yourself in a better situation?
I run back toward the white car.
And when you run to the white car, where do you look?
I look back to see what he's doing.
When you say you look back to see what he's doing so you don't have any misunderstanding, where do you look? I mean, I say looking back, where is it? Southwest, northeast, where?
I look back southeast where I last saw him.
When we have the corner of the house here as a reference point, is that the general area or not?
Yes, it is.
And do you see the defendant at that point?
Yes, I do.
Do you see Officer Hawley at that point?
No.
Do you see Officer Hawley anywhere near the vicinity of the defendant?
No.
Do you then begin shooting again, or did you shoot before that?
No. Then he still had the gun, and I shot at him again.
And then you see that he goes around the corner.
Yes.
After you see that he goes around the corner, what do you do next?
I scan, I start to scan left and scan right, but when I scan left, I see Officer Hawley.
You see what?
I see Officer Hawley down on the ground.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Before we have Detective Quay step up, does the jury have questions for him? See, we have it. More coming, so Kim's going to come get them. The council, please approach. There's more. Okay, we'll wait for you.